What's up, guys? Narghul here, back with another Turtle WoW video. In this video we are covering Warlock, but this video will be something like a deep dive, so it will last long, you know what I mean. But I can assure you that this will be the best, or one of the best guides when it comes to Warlock. I have my friend Worec over here. Probably some of you know him. He's one of the best Warlocks in the server. So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to mention. Second thing I wanted to mention is that there are 3 viable, playable specs when it comes to Warlocks, and demonology. Because of recent change, demonology, it's just a garbage. So forget about demonology for now. We are waiting for them to change something. When they change something, we will cover demonology as well. But for now, we're gonna stick to specs that Worec provides for us. All right, Worec. You can go.
Okay, yeah, we'll start with Affliction.
By the way, Worec, sorry for interruption. Once we make Affliction spec, can we make a rotation also? And then when we make a fire spec, then rotation, then SM rune. You know what I mean, so that we don't separate those 3. Yeah. So okay, I'll let you talk.
Alright, we'll start with Affliction. It's great for Warlocks that are lacking hit. So if there's any fresh Warlocks that are just coming to Turtle WoW and you've just, maybe you just hit 60 and you've got some dungeon gear, it's great for any Warlocks that are running into hit issues that don't have like a lot of secondary stats on their gear yet. A great thing about it, if you're just trying to get like pre-raid bis, is you can just fill in some of the slots that you don't have like good dungeon gear with just greens of Shadow Wrath and just get some spell power, because spell power is really going to be your big stat on Affliction Warlock. We'll get into haste in a little bit, but off the rip, if you've got bad gear, Affliction's probably the spec for you. Getting into the talents. We'll go 5 points improved corruption right off the rip. It's corruption is going to be most of your damage, so
of course
that's going to be a very important talent for you. Improved life tap. It's also good. You want to grab that. From here, it's going to depend on how much hit you have, but you're going to want to put points into suppression to get you to 16% hit. So if you have 6% hit, you're going to want to put 5 points into suppression. And so on and so on. So for this, we'll assume you're a fresh Warlock and you don't have much gear, so we'll put 5 points suppression. I'm going to put 3 points improved agony. I'm going to put 2 points down here in Nightfall, 2 points in Grim Reach. Nightfall is going to proc off of both your corruption and your drains. So your drains are going to proc Nightfall. You're going to cast Shadow Bolts, and we'll get into later why Shadow Bolt's important, but it's just a nice little bit of damage. Also, there's a recent change to Shadow Bolt, and now Nightfall. Your Nightfall Shadow Bolts are now 100% guaranteed to land. So even if you're an Affliction Warlock and you don't have a lot of hit, like I said, this is going to guarantee to land your Shadow Bolts.
That's a really nice change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just noticed it yesterday. I didn't even read it in the patch notes. I was playing my Warlock yesterday. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I must have missed it. We're going to go up here to improve drains. We're going to put 2 points there. It's going to increase our Drain Soul damage by 10%, which is Drain Soul is going to be like our filler spell. So it's going to be nice to have 10% damage there. Then we're going to grab pretty much all these talents here. Siphon Life, Rapid Deterioration, Malediction, and Soul Siphon. Grabbing all of them. For Rapid Deterioration, this is where haste is going to come into play. So it's going to give you 6% haste off the rip, but it's also going to make all of your affliction spells scale with haste. That scaling comes in the form of reducing the duration of the spell. So obviously if it does 100 damage over over 10 seconds, and now it does 100 damage over 8 seconds. That's more damage per second. So that's how the haste factors in there. It's also going to affect your drains. So same concept. You're draining something for 5 seconds and it does X amount of damage. If you drain something for 4 seconds and it does X amount of damage, you're doing more damage per second there. So haste is just a straight DPS increase. You want to get as much of it as possible, but we'll get into the gearing in a little bit. Malediction just got changed. This is going to let you put your curse of shadows or recklessness or elements or whatever you're assigned in raid up alongside your agony. So your agony is going to be ticking for damage, and your curse is also going to be on the target. Also, this change yesterday, your Curse of Recklessness, Shadows, and Elements also affects the target with Curse of Agony. So you can save a global cooldown. You can just put your curse up on the target, and it will automatically put your agony up.
That's really
refresh your agony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great little DPS increase, especially when mobs die quickly. So if the mob on a boss, it's not all that noticeable. It's just going to save you 1 global cooldown. Still a DPS increase, but it's just 1 global cooldown. But when you're in raid and you're, putting your Curse of Recklessness up on trash mobs, you're also getting some damage out of that global cooldown now as well. Siphon Life was also changed from Classic. It now has a 100% spell power scaling. So both on the damage and the heal, it's going to be scaling with your spell power harder than it was before. Before it was 50%. So that's it's a better, double scaling.
This is a better thing.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Siphon Life is better than it was before these changes. Shadow Mastery is 10% damage, so we're obviously putting 5 points into that. And Dark Harvest is going to be our capstone, and we're grabbing that as well. From here, we're going to go to Demonology, and we're going to grab 3 points here. This is going to give us 3% damage when we don't have a pet, and we'll see why we don't have a pet in a second. Put 5 points Demonic Embrace and 2 points into Improved Soulstones, Master Conjurer. These are just great. Stamina is important. It's a great thing to have. This talent, you're not going to have your pet out, so it's useless. Same with Soul Funnel. So the best option we have here is Stamina, and who doesn't like Stamina?
Yeah, exactly.
Master Conjurer is going to be great for your raid, the rest of the people in your group. Just, having that extra healing on Healthstone, especially for something like Progression, having, I believe it's like 240 health for every single person that uses their Healthstone. It's a great talent to have.
So you can pretty much have a Warlock with 1 point over there, and for example, you with 2 out of 2 points over there. Those are 2 different health stones, so they can grab both.
They can grab both. They are on the same cooldown though, but they can grab both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then from here we're going to go Demonic Sacrifice. So this is why we're not going to have a pet. We're going to be sacrificing our Succubus for 6% damage. That's 6% damage, and then remember we get 3% for not having a pet. So overall in this tree we're getting a bunch of stamina, 9% damage, and better health stones.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great for just an 11-point investment into the tree, and you'll see that this 11-point investment into Demonology comes up quite a bit in the other specs.
Interesting.
So from here, we're going to go 5 points Improved Shadow Bolts. Remember, your Nightfall is going to be proccing on your ticks and your drains, your corruption ticks and your drain ticks. And so when you get those instant cast Shadow Bolts, you're going to hit Improved Shadow Bolt. This gives your Shadow Bolts a 10% chance to increase the shadow damage taken by the target by 20%. So it's not going to proc all the time, but if you have a couple Warlocks in the raid and they're all throwing out Shadow Bolts every once in a while, you're going to notice this is up more than you might think it would be, especially with a higher chance to trigger on a critical hit. So every once in a while, the Shadow Bolt will crit. I don't exactly know how much the higher chance is, but most of the time when your Shadow Bolt crits, you're going to get the ISB proc on the target. So you'll notice it with a couple Warlocks, this is up very consistently. It's also a good time to mention that having Warlocks is like a feedback loop. Like, you all benefit each other with with damage. Once you start to get around like 3 warlocks, like you're all giving each other damage. So it's nice to have multiple in the raid.
It's something we can compare it something like with 1.12.1 ignite mages, something like that, helping
a little
each
less
other.
direct, but yes, very.
I get it. Nice.
So we've got 1 point here left. We're just going to be putting that down here in fell concentration. As you get more hit, you're going to pull points out of suppression and put it into fell concentration. So it's just going to give your channels a chance to not have pushback. So there's going to be some raid mechanics that you're not going to be able to avoid, and you're not going to want to lose damage when you can avoid them. This is going to help you with that.
And what's ideal hit rating for you, Warec? Ideal.
On Affliction, it's so if we're talking, you want 6%. 6% is going to be the first threshold to break. But remember, after 6%, every 2%, we're going to be pulling a point out of suppression and putting it into fell concentration. So you are going to get benefit from hit past 6%, but it's not really worth it to prioritize it. If you get some, fantastic. You can pull points out of suppression, put it into fell concentration, but it's not going to give you any damage besides the pushback reduction. So 6% is going to be what you want to aim for. And then any points additional to that aren't useless, but they are not going to directly increase your damage. They're just going to give you a higher chance to not have spell pushback.
Understood.
I guess overall 6% is what you're going to want on an Affliction Warlock.
I think that's achievable really fast.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
You can get trinkets that are that cover half for you.
Exactly. Especially because Turtle WoW gives you a lot of more how can I say pre-raid BIS items with all those custom dungeons and all that kind of thing. So I think 6% is nothing really. It's gonna be filled quickly. So,
remember, there's a druid giving Emerald Blessing in your raid too, and that's gonna give you 1% hit.
Yeah, exactly.
You really only need 5% on your gear if you can count on that druid to be there.
True. So this is our Affliction build.
Yes. This is the Affliction build. Like I said, you could take points out of suppression, put it into fell concentration, but that's as your gear gets better. If you're a fresh 60 Warlock, I'm assuming you don't have 5% or 6% hit yet. This is what you're going to be going for raids, and you'll notice that you're going to do pretty good damage, right? Or genuinely, for wearing greens and blues, like your damage is going to be up there.
Nice.
I mentioned that it's better for worse geared Warlocks, but it also holds up. So as you get better gear, it's not like this spec like falls behind. It's probably not the best Warlock spec once you've gotten like full BIS, but it still holds up. You can still go in raids and you'll still do good damage.
True. Alright, that will be it. 35-11-5, guys. Now, Worec, can we talk a little bit about people want to know rotation. There is no such thing as perfect, but you know what I mean.
Gotcha. So off the rip, you're going to be using your assigned curse. Now that it applies Curse of Agony, you're going to get immediate damage from casting that curse. So apply that curse first global every single time. For this example, we'll use Curse of Shadows. So you'll put your Curse of Shadows up, it'll automatically put your Agony up, and you'll have 2 debuffs on the boss for 1 global. That's a benefit to you, benefit to the raid. It's a easy first choice for your first cast on the mob. From there, we're going to cast a Corruption on the mob. It's a high damage ability. It ticks as fast as everything else, but it's short duration, and it's 100% spell power scaling, just like your Agony. So Corruption, easy second choice for your cast on the mob. So you're going to go Curse, Corruption. Then from there, we're going to put a Siphon Life on the mob. Remember, it got buffed. It scales 100% with spell power now. Also heals you, so it's great. Great little spell to cast there. Keep in mind, every dot that we put on the mob is going to be increasing the damage of our drains. Okay, that's really the main point here. 6% damage increase on our drains, Drain Soul, Dark Harvest, and Death Coil for every affliction spell on the mob. So we're going to be putting dots on the mob. Immolate is not an affliction spell, so it will not benefit, or it will not add to Soul Siphon. Just wanted to mention that out there. From there, we've got our Curse, our Corruption, our Siphon Life. We're going to go into a Drain Soul, or a Dark Harvest, depending on the HP of the mob. We're going to go Drain Soul or Dark Harvest. If the mob is going to die quickly, then we're going to go Dark Harvest right away. If the mob is going to live long enough, maybe 20 seconds, we'll go Drain Soul and then we'll Dark Harvest. The goal of that is to have your Dark Harvest be casting on the mob when the mob dies, okay?
I got you.
Now for a boss, we're not going directly to the next mob after we kill the boss. So we're going to start with a Dark Harvest if we're fighting a boss. So, assuming we're fighting a boss, we'll put up our Curse. That'll put 2 curses up on the target. Then we're going to put our Improved Corruption. Then we're going to put our Siphon Life. And then we're going to go into Dark Harvest and Drain Soul. And we're going to be using those. If your Dark Harvest is on cooldown, you use Drain Soul. If you can Dark Harvest, then you Dark Harvest. And in between those, we're going to be reapplying reapplying those dots. Yep.
Yeah, go on.
If you do that, you're going to notice that even with like greens and blues, you're going to do a very good amount of damage, and you're not going to be resisting the mob the mob's not going to be resisting your spells a whole lot. So that's why I said it's a great spec for starter warlocks. You're going to do a lot of damage out of the gate, essentially.
Perfect.
That's pretty much it for rotation. Just keep those dots up and keep Drain Souling and Dark Harvesting. There's there's specifics for every boss fight on how to do those things correctly. You don't want to get pushed back on your Dark Harvest, so try to avoid damage when you're doing that. But those are boss specific things.
Exactly. And we missed. Do we apply Shadow Bolt?
Yeah, we're going to be Shadow Bolting whenever we get a Nightfall proc. It's pretty inconsistent. Sometimes you'll go a whole minute and you won't get a Nightfall proc. Sometimes you'll get 3 in a minute. Just Shadow Bolt whenever you get that Nightfall proc there. Remember, it's going to be guaranteed to hit. So.
Okay, but are we applying Shadow Bolt without Nightfall?
No, we're not going to cast.
Oh, really?
Without Nightfall. No, we're just going to be draining. Dark Harvesting.
So casting Shadow Bolt literally doesn't make any sense if it's not for Nightfall.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Just because we're not getting Bane, so we're not getting the cast time reduction on Shadow Bolt, so you're not going to want to be casting it if you're not going to have an instant cast one.
I see.
Remember, also, it's not going to be guaranteed to hit if you don't have Nightfall, and you're not going to be having a whole lot of hit on Affliction, so it'll resist a lot if you try casting it without that Nightfall proc.
All right, everything's clear. So, Worec, what would you suggest to people that are trying to gear up what the dungeons, pre-raid BIS, and all that kind of things? To explain them shortly, where should they go, and all that kind of things.
So just grab as much spell power on your gear as possible early on. If you can get some hit, fantastic. Like I said, you want to sit around that 6% mark. But really, like the cheat code that everybody forgets is go to the auction house, look up a level 50 plus green item with Shadow Wrath on it, and buy that. Even if you needed hit, even if you were running like an SM Ruin or something like that, those pieces of gear are extremely powerful. They're even more powerful in Affliction. So if you have some trash blue piece of gear from level 35 still, and you're using it as your wrists, go to the auction house and get a pair of wrists with 20 spell power on them. It only costs you a couple gold, and that 20 spell power will apply to every single global cooldown dot that you put on that target. You'll do 20 extra damage per cast. So it's a huge damage upgrade. You want to be stacking spell power as much as possible. Once you get into raids, try to pick up some tier gear, and if you want to play Affliction, you're going to be swapping it to the Affliction tier. It's got haste on it, it's got spell power on it, it's got everything you want.
It's amazing. It's amazing that it has haste on.
Yeah. There's a lot of on those tier sets. There's a lot of pieces of gear with haste on them, and that's going to be more important as you get into raids. But pre-bis, you're just going to be focusing that spell power, because there's not a whole lot of gear with haste on it. But as you get into raids, you're going to find gear with haste on it, and you're going to want to pick that up too.
I mean, haste. Let's be real over here. Haste beats everything, literally everything. That's,
it's incredibly powerful for Affliction.
Yeah. All right. That will be the first build, guys. Now let's move to fire, and then we're gonna move to SM Ruin.
Okay. Clear these. So, fire is going to be like the opposite of Affliction when it comes to when you should be using it. You're going to want... Affliction is the spec to go if you're jumping into raiding for the first time, or you just hit 60, and you're going to... If you have 2 Warlocks in your raid, like, it's fine, you can go Affliction. Fire is going to be the opposite. For fire, you're going to want to make sure you have Curse of Elements, and you're going to want to make sure you have a Fire Mage. But also, the more important thing is you're going to need to go fire, or you're going to want to go fire when mobs are dying quickly, when you have a lot of raid DPS. And, sorry, I need a glass of water real quick.
Sure.
You're going to want to go fire when your gear is of a good level. For lack of a better term, when you have a lot of hit on your gear. You're not going to be getting any hit from your talents on fire, and so it's going to be very important that you're prioritizing gear with hit on it. On my fire set, I sit at 16% hit. That's hit cap. It's very important to be hit capped or close to hit cap if you want to run Fire Mage. Now, you're not going to be able to go fire for Molten Core and BWL because too many mobs are resistant.
Exactly.
So you're already going to have some hit by the time you start to adapt to fire in like AQ and Naxxramas. So that's less of an issue, but it is something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Fire is also amazing for PvP. Maybe it's not a PvP guide, but it's worth mentioning. It's incredibly overpowered, if you ask me, and incredibly fun if you play Warlock to go fire.
Yeah.
I'll when I get into the talents, I'll show the talent as to why. You have an incredible amount of burst, and your AoE in a raid setting, your AoE, your Hellfire, is a fire spell, and so it's going to be benefiting from all the plus fire attributes that you're going to be getting in your talents there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great for AoE too. If you're just cleaving things down, it's really really nice to go fire. Your Hellfires can tick very very hard. So from there, I guess we'll just jump into talents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So instead of Improve Shadow Bolt, because you're not going to be casting Shadow Bolt, you're going to be going Cataclysm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just get that mana reduction off the rip. From there, we're going to be going Bane. Bane, not for the Shadow Bolt cast time reduction, but for the Immolate and Soulfire cast time reduction. That's why we're taking Bane here. Then we're going to grab 5% crit. I mentioned how hit's very important for fire. Crit's very important for fire too, because we're going to be grabbing Ruin. So, yep. I mean, you like to be critting.
Exactly.
We're going to grab Shadow Burn. It's a great little instant cast spell. You're going to have another instant cast spell that's better, but when that one's on cooldown, you can Shadow Burn. So we're going to go Destructive Reach, just for the range. We're going to go 5 points, Improve Scorch, and as you're going to see here, we're going to grab pretty much all of these talents from here down.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to grab all of these. I'll go through each one. Ruin, fantastic for all your crits. You're going to be hitting very hard. Immolate, we're going to keep keeping that up on the boss all the time.
20%,
So
20%, that's a lot. That's a lot,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of damage there. Soulfire, you're going to be using this essentially on cooldown, and it's going to be increasing the damage of your fire spells by 8% for 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So,
now we are talking about 30 seconds.
yeah, you can keep 100% uptime on that because it's a 30-second cooldown.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it's very, very powerful.
8%, 8% fire damage increased for 30 seconds. You are absolutely right. We can keep it 100% uptime. It's amazing.
That's going to be the goal too. It's also incredibly powerful to precast a Soulfire because it's a long cast time. It scales very, very, very hard with spell power. It actually says in its tooltip that it scales heavily with spell power. I believe it's definitely over 100%. I think it's 150. So it scales very hard with spell power. And remember, we've got Ruin too, and we've got 5% crit. So if we precast a Soulfire and that crits, you're looking at I hit one in Nax and it was 8k damage from the first cast of the raid.
I never saw something like that. I never saw something like that.
On Thaddeus, I think I hit one for 26k. So you can hit incredibly hard with this Soulfire crit.
Wow.
We're going to be grabbing Ember Storm. It's going to give us a flat 10% damage on our fire spells. And then Conflag, which is our other instant cast spell. It's going to be consuming some of our Immolate. Remember, we're keeping Immolate up all the time. It's going to consume some of our Immolate instantly, convert it to damage, right? And also do a lot of damage on its own. I don't know if there's any people that understand present value, but consuming that damage is better than letting it tick out. So we're going to consume that damage. When we consume the damage from our Immolate on our Conflag, we are giving that damage a chance to crit, okay? Because that damage ticking, dots don't crit, okay? That damage ticking on the target in the Immolate is not going to crit. But when we Conflag, our Conflag has a chance to crit, and it's consuming some of that damage. So we're giving that bonus damage a chance to crit, and Conflag hits crazy hard on its own. Besides Soulfire, Conflags can hit for 4 or 5k in full max gear. So it hits very, very hard on a 10-second cooldown.
You will do this Worec once Immolate is about to fall off, right?
You're casting Conflag on cooldown. Any single time you can cast Conflag,
I see.
It's better than anything else you can cast.
I see.
Yeah. So you've been casting Conflag on cooldown. If you consume the last couple seconds of your Immolate, the next thing you'll cast is an Immolate. Even if you don't have an Immolate on the target, let's say you don't have time to cast one before it dies, still throw the Conflag on there. It's going to do a very good amount of damage on its own. So
unbelievable, amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
From here, we're going to go Intensity. Remember when we did SM Ruin?
Exactly.
We did Fell Concentration.
Not to lose.
We're getting the same benefit of a 5-point talent here in the Affliction tree with 2 talents in the Destruction tree. Now this one only applies to fire spells, but this one only applies to drains. So this is an incredibly powerful talent. 2 points, and we've gotten the equivalent of a 5-point talent in the Affliction tree.
It's also amazing in PvP. For PvP.
Yep. Down here, right here. This is the thing I mentioned for PvP.
Oh, Pyroclasm.
Yeah. It's so even in just the Conflag on its own, like hitting crazy hard and stunning them is fantastic. But even for AV, you cast a rain of fire on a group of 6 people, and 2 of them get stunned on the first tick, and then 2 of them get stunned on the second tick. It's incredibly powerful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then they're stuck in the rain of fire, and they're getting stunned more. It's so fun.
That's such a troll talent.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredibly powerful. For raiding, we're not going to grab it.
Wow. Rain of Fire, Hellfire, Conflag, and Soulfire. Now those are the spell. 4 spells are giving you 26% chance to stun the target for 3 seconds. Unbelievable.
And 2 of them are AoE. So
yeah.
we're talking about AoE stuns here. Yeah. when a warrior hops on you in PvP and you just
Insta
roll it for the instant hellfire. You just do a hellfire just to see if you could stun him, and you stun him with it, and you just got 3 seconds to do whatever you want to him. Amazing feeling. But we'll keep it to rating for this discussion.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll head back up to demonology. Remember with Affliction, we grabbed that series of talents. We're gonna grab the same series of talents. So we're gonna grab all of these just like that. This time, however, we're getting the 3% damage from not having a pet, but then we're gonna be sacrificing our imp for 6% fire damage instead of our succubus for 6% shadow damage. So just to recap before we go into this, how to spend this last talent, we're getting 3% damage here, 6% damage here, 10% damage here, 8% damage when we use our Soulfire, crit, bonus crit damage, bonus damage here. It's an incredibly powerful spec. Some of the caveats are you're going to want a Curse of Elements and you're going to want a Fire Mage, because both of those are going to give you fire damage as well. Affliction, when we were talking about Affliction, Shadow Priests are very powerful. Fire, you're going to want Fire Mages, you're going to want Curse of Elements, stuff like that to increase your fire damage.
Exactly.
Now this last talent is really dealer's choice. You can go whatever you want to go here. For raw damage on Patchwork, I believe the best is going to be Aftermath. It's just going to give you 2% damage on your Immolate ticks. It's not that strong, but it is worth mentioning that. That's probably the best to go, but you really can select anything here. Another good one is Fell Domination, just to have another cooldown to summon your pet faster, just so you could sacrifice him. But maybe you die in raid. If you die in raid, your demonic sacrifice buff falls off, so you have to summon another pet and sacrifice him.
Exactly.
If you die, you could Fell Dom, get the pet up, and then sacrifice him right away and get right back to doing damage.
4.5 seconds. That's amazing. I mean, that's the only point worth in the end. If I think we would agree. Fell Domination.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very good. If you're confident you won't die, technically Aftermath is better.
Exactly.
But if you're even gonna think that you might die one time, Fell Domination is better. Another one worth mentioning, I'll throw this out there, is Suppression. If you're not quite hit capped, let's say you're sitting at 14%, you could throw that point into Suppression, just so that when you put your curse on the target, because you're still going to be having to use that curse as your first global cooldown, it doesn't resist. It's quality of life. I would probably go the other two, but it is an honorable mention. For this example, we'll throw it into Fell Domination, though.
All right. So there you have it, guys. 0, 12, 39. If you don't have enough hit, by all means go for Affliction. What was that talent over there, Worec, that gives you suppression? Yeah. All right. So we don't have to discuss gearing, pre-raid, best in slot, etc., etc. People just got it, from the first time when you said something, when you said that they have to grab as much spell power as they can. What's 6% hit and all that kind of thing is? I think it's pretty much the same.
Well, for destruction, you're gonna want to be hit capped, so you're gonna be wanting 16% hit.
16.
You don't need to hit 16% hit. You can sit around 12, 13, 14, 15, but you're gonna be noticed it's very beneficial to be hit capped on destruction. You're not getting anything from your talents, so you're gonna be prioritizing hit. On top of that, yes, spell power is important. It's not going to be as important as Affliction and SM Ruin, but it is still probably your best stat, depending on the amounts. Crit's also going to be very, very valuable. Crit is not valuable at all for Affliction, but it is very, very valuable for destruction.
Exactly.
Likewise, haste is not valuable at all for destruction or fire. I should call it fire instead of destruction.
But
haste is not valuable at all.
Yeah.
But it is for Affliction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the the yin and yang. So, do you want me to go into rotation?
Everything clear. Yeah, rotation, please. Rotation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just like Affliction and just like SM Ruin, you're going to be putting your curse up first. Whatever curse you're assigned, it's going to be Recklessness, Shadows, or Elements. If you have 4 Warlocks, you might not be assigned a curse, but assuming you're assigned a curse, you're going to be putting up that assigned curse on your first global cooldown. From there, typically, if the mob's going to survive 4 seconds, you're going to want to Soulfire it. It's an incredibly hard-hitting ability, as I mentioned. It's
Exactly.
very, very, very hard-hitting. And so, Soulfire, right after your curse. If you have the opportunity to precast Soulfire, you can precast the Soulfire and then cast your curse while it's flying through the air. That's fine too. Sometimes there's a lot of times where you can precast in raids. You can cast in a mob before you've aggroed it or before the tanks picked it up. Careful pulling aggro with that because Soulfire hits very, very hard. But if you have a Salvation and you've got limited vulnerability potions, you can play a little risk.
Yeah, you can manage.
In a Warlock, not a Mage. Yeah. So after those two, we're going to go Immolate. We're going to Immolate right away. This is going to get the dot ticking on the target. And it's also going to lead into the next spell you cast, which is going to be Conflag. So you're going to Immolate into Conflag right after your Soulfire. So now you've got your 8% damage buff from Soulfire. You're hitting the Immolate. So you've got an Immolate on the target, and now you're hitting the Conflag. And that's going to consume some of the Immolate. It's going to get the benefit from the 8% damage from your Soulfire. Your Immolate also gets the benefit of the 8% damage from your Soulfire. So the consumed amount is 8% increased as well. And then your Conflag is going to hit the target. Your filler spell is going to be Searing Pain. You're going to be Searing Paining over and over, keeping your Immolate up, using Conflag and Soulfire on cooldown. After the initial part of pulling and doing your rotation, it's pretty simple. It's just Searing Pain spam, keep that Immolate up, keep using that Conflag on cooldown, and keep using that Soulfire on cooldown. It's pretty much it.
Alright. Time to move for last. Like I said, guys, we will not cover Demonology over here because in last patch Demonology changed a lot and now it's not even worth mentioning Demonology. We will cover now SM Ruin build and rotation.
Yeah, so we can do SM Ruin. I do just want to mention with Demonology that I don't play it personally. It's not that good in speedruns, and so up until this patch, it's been very, very strong.
I
haven't seen it.
Sorry for interruption, Worec. I was talking with few friends that are really, really good with Warlocks when it comes to Demonology, and that they are disappointed because Demonology got nerfed so bad,
Yeah.
Maybe they will change something. Maybe they will change something, but it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
I will take your word for it. I haven't even spec'd it once, so yeah. I've avoided it completely.
Understandable.
So we'll go into SM Ruin.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna notice the beginning is pretty similar to Affliction. We're going to go 5 points improved corruption. We're going to go improved life tap. Just like Affliction, we're going to be putting as many points as we need to into suppression.
Hit.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So, unlike Affliction, we're going to be prioritizing hit gear more than we would otherwise because our filler spell is going to be Shadow Bolt, and this suppression does not affect Shadow Bolt. It is only for your Affliction spells. But we don't want to waste points. If we've got 20 or if we have 15% hit, we don't want to put any points into suppression. It's not going to do anything for us. But we want to put enough points into suppression to get some benefit out of it. So we'll put 3 points into suppression for now, and I'll show you there will be opportunities to put more in. Then we're going to go improved Curse of Agony because we're going to be putting our Curse of Agony up on the target. Here we've got 2 more points to put in until we get down to this row. So if you need the hit, put it into suppression. If you don't need the hit, you can put it into anything else here. It's pretty much dealer's choice. Anything here, they're not all that useful. We're not going to be draining, so Fel Concentration's not going to be that good. Curse of Exhaustion's for PvP.
Yeah.
Debilitating Curses is for PvP. Resilient Shadows is for PvP. And Improved Drains is like niche, but it might help you in raids if there's like a high damage fight and you need to drain life. So for this example, we'll throw it into there. But remember, if you need the hit, just throw it into suppression.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to grab Nightfall, and we're going to grab Grim Reach, and we're in another situation where we have an extra point. So we'll throw it into there, and we'll assume that you need 4 out of 5 suppression for the hit. But if you don't need it, throw it into anything else. Why not? They're PvP talents, but why not, right?
Exactly.
We're going to grab Malediction, we're going to grab Siphon Life, and we're going to grab Rapid Deterioration. These talents are all incredibly good. We're going to be using our dots as SM Ruin, and like I said, Malediction recently got changed. It applies both your curses now, so it saves you a global cooldown. Siphon Life recently got buffed. It increases its spell power scaling got buffed to 100%, so very good talent to grab now. Rapid Deterioration. This is going to increase your haste of your affliction spells and also allow your affliction spells to actually scale with haste, so they tick faster the more haste you have. We're not going to be prioritizing haste as like our main secondary stat the same way that we would for affliction, but it is going to give us more benefit than it would if we were running, let's say, Firelock, okay? Because our Shadow Bolt is a 2.5 second cast, and that can benefit from haste, whereas a Searing Pain is 1.5 seconds. You can't go lower than 1.5 seconds, so no haste is going to benefit the Searing Pain, but the haste will benefit your Shadow Bolt. So you do want to get some haste on your gear, but you don't want to prioritize it the same way that you would Affliction. We'll talk about that when we talk about gearing after we finish this talents.
All right.
But SM Ruin gearing is difficult and niche, but rewarding for reasons we'll get into. We're going to throw 1 point into Soul Siphon. We don't need 3 points into Soul Siphon. It's just the best thing to grab out of all of these talents here. So we're just going to put 1 point into there. And then we're going to go 5 points into Shadow Mastery for 10% extra damage on our Shadow spells, and we are not going to get Dark Harvest. We're not Deep Affliction, we're just SM Ruin.
All right. Sounds interesting so far.
So from here, we're going to skip the Demonology tree, which is kind of sad, you know. I like getting my 9% damage, but there's more important things here in the Destruction tree. We're going to grab Improved Shadow Bolt, 5 points there. Remember, we're going to be using Shadow Bolts as our main filler spell. It's going to be the main thing we're casting. And so we're also going to have lots of crit, so this is going to be up quite a lot. It might even be a good idea in your raids, if let's say you have 3 Warlocks and 2 of them are Affliction, to have the third one go SM Ruin, just because he alone, the SM Ruin lock, will keep Improved Shadow Bolt up on the mob pretty much all the time. Because he's spamming this Shadow Bolt on the mob. So your SM Ruin lock is going to be putting this up all the time, and that's 20% damage on all shadow effects on the target. So
that will be
incredibly
ideal. That will be ideal. Yeah,
absolutely. So we're going to go Bane. This time we're going Bane. We're going for the Shadow Bolt reduction instead of the Immolate and Soulfire, but still very good talent to get. We're going to grab that for sure. 5 points Devastation. We're going to be trying to crit those Shadow Bolts and hit them really hard, so that's important to grab that. Shadow Burn. Great little instant cast, a nice little finisher. Destructive Reach, range is important. You can outrange lots of mechanics.
Range.
Yeah. It's like you can outrange a ton of mechanics. 4 Horsemen, Magmadar, Nefarian, Bug Trio. You can outrange a ton of mechanics on fights by grabbing this. From here, we've got 2 points to spend before we can get down to Ruin. The points you can spend have to be in the Destruction tree, but it's not so easy to figure out what we're going to put it into. For most people, I would say put it into Demonic Swiftness, because you're going to have your Imp out, and your imp can cast fireballs very quickly. If, let's say, you have your succubus out, you can Lash of Pain very quickly. So this is going to be a nice bit of damage. Remember, we have a pet out for
exactly. We are not
Ruin.
sacrificing pets in SM Ruin. Exactly. Yeah.
So we're not sacrificing pets. We're not getting that damage increase, but the pet does damage. Let's not forget about him.
True.
So improved imp firebolt. He casts very, very quickly, and he ooms himself. But he also benefits from auras of your group. So if you have a Boomy, if you have an ATS, if you have your imp out when you got a fortitude buff or something like that, your imp benefits from that too. He benefits from arcane intellect. So he ooms quick, but he won't oom that quick, and he'll hit pretty hard because he does scale with or he does benefit from those buffs that go off to your group. So I would say for most people, go Demonic Swiftness. If you're really like noticing that you're not utilizing your imp enough, or your imp is dying a lot, you can go Cataclysm for 2 points and reduce the mana cost of your Shadow Bolts. Or if you're a real gamer, probably not optimal, but if there's a mob that's going to die before you can hit it with a Shadow Bolt, and you just have enough time to get a Searing Pain off on it, you can go 2 points, improve Searing Pain, and then pray for a crit. That's viable as well. You can go any of those, and you'll do decent. It's not like we're, it's not massive amounts of damage in any of those 2 talents, but it's your choice, is what I'm trying to say. They're all going to benefit you. It's your choice as to how your play style uses them. I would go Demonic Swiftness, and then just keep that imp banished, or not banished, phase shifted until you fight a boss, and then just send the imp in on the boss and let him do his thing. He'll do a very good amount of damage. He'll hit for like a couple hundred damage every single firebolt, and the firebolts fire off pretty quick. So it's a good amount of damage to add to your total DPS number. So I would go Demonic Swiftness for most Warlocks. Then from there, we're just going to grab Ruin. It's going to, you're getting crit from here. We're going to get a lot of crit on our gear, and our Shadow Bolts are going to crit really, really hard.
That's a key. That's a key over there.
Yeah. It's one of the most interesting specs in the game, because you're not going all the way down and getting a capstone. You're more of just like a warlock, like a base warlock. You're not really specializing into anything, but it's still incredibly powerful. It's my personal favorite. Close second to fire. I do like fire a lot too, but it's like the classic warlock, like SM Ruin. It was good in classic WoW before there was any changes from Turtle WoW. It was good after the changes on Turtle WoW. They just did another change back. It's still good. Like it's just it's the classic. It's the classic warlock.
Yeah, exactly. And with these talents, you can even do molten core BWL. There is no resistance whatsoever. I mean,
Absolutely.
on some spell, but
yeah, it's not like you can do, it's not like fire where you only have to do AQ and you can do any raids. You can do all 4 raids. You can do MC, BWL, AQ, Nax as SM Ruin, and do well.
All right. So
I do want to mention SM Ruin. Did you want me to go into rotation or stats first?
Go. Mention what you can mention what you wanted. Go on.
Okay, I'll talk about stats first. SM Ruin is the only warlock class, or the only warlock spec that benefits from every single caster stat in the game. You notice that with fire, you don't benefit from haste at all because your casts are so short. And with affliction, you don't benefit from crit at all because your dots can't crit. But with SM Ruin, you benefit from haste, you benefit from hit, you benefit from crit, you benefit from spell power, you benefit from every caster stat in the game as SM Ruin. So if you have a gear set that's pretty balanced for, you've got enough hit, you've got enough crit, you can snag some haste too, you're going to benefit from all of that. If you just have a ton of incredibly good gear pieces, even if they're not like maybe for, They're not like, oh, I don't have a perfect Affliction set, I don't have a perfect Fire set, I've just got a good mix of the two. Affliction uses all of those, or I'm sorry, SM Ruin uses all of those stats to capacity. I mean, your haste is getting used on your dots and your Shadow Bolt, and your crits, your Shadow Bolt's what you're casting most of the time, and it can crit. So you can really stack just raw stats on SM Ruin and just stat check the DPS meter, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Amazing. So what will be rotation of SM Ruin Warlock?
For rotation, we're going to throw up our assigned curse, and remember that we've got the malediction talent. It's going to throw up our Curse of Agony as well. So we're going to get the our 2 curses for the price of 1. We're going to throw up 1 global, and we're going to get 2 curses on the target. So great to do that. From there, we're going to go corruption. The corruption, it's your hardest hitting dot, and so it's nice to throw that up. Second, we would throw it up.
Just a sec, Worec. Corruption, 5 out of 5. That makes insta corruption, right?
Yes, it does. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Affliction and SM Ruin are incredibly mobile specs. If you need to move for a mechanic, refresh your curses, refresh your dots. You are not dependent on casting. Yeah, I get you. Absolutely. Yeah. You can move while you cast on these 2 specs. Less so for SM Ruin than Affliction, but still you can. You can even get lucky, and while you're moving, you get a Nightfall proc, and you can throw out a Shadow Bolt while you're running too. So it's very, very mobile specs. Very good for like Sapphiron and fights like that, where you have to move to the tombs on the fight, or like Lothab, where you have to go get your spore. It's a very good fight or a very good spec for those 2 fights. So we've got our assigned curse. We've got our Curse of Agony. That's going to go up with the assigned curse. With 1 global cooldown. Then we're using our corruption, because that's the dot that ticks the hardest. If we didn't have to get that assigned curse up, we'd throw the corruption up right away, but we're going to get our assigned curse up first. We're going to be good little warlocks. And then we're going to throw up a Siphon Life. Now, Siphon Life wasn't a dot that you would cast on a warlock until they just buffed it. So they just buffed it so it scales 100% with spell power. Same thing as corruption, same thing with agony. It's still your weakest dot. I would say that it's worth to cast now. It's worth to keep up on the target. Especially if you're taking any sort of damage during the boss fight, absolutely throw up a Siphon Life, because if you benefit any of the healing from it, like, that's amazing. But it's just, it is going to be your weakest dot. It is worth mentioning that. Only cast the Siphon Life if you're going to get the full duration out of the Siphon Life. Same thing with all of these dots here. Only throw them up on the target if the target's going to live for the duration of the dot. So for corruption, that's 18 seconds, a little bit less with
so for example, to make it clearer for people, we are on Patchwork, and Patchwork is about to die in like 9-10 seconds. It's not worth casting corruption at all.
Yeah, not worth casting corruption.
Yeah.
It even gets to a point, if Patchwork's going to die in 2 or 3 seconds, you don't even want to cast a Shadow Bolt. You just want to throw a Death Coil and a Shadow Burn. And that's like, I mentioned earlier, finishers. That's the finisher, you know? You throw your instant casts before the mob dies, because you're not going to have time for a full cast. That's, how you squeeze that last little bit of damage out of the fight.
I see.
It's your execute phase, so to speak, So after you get those dots up, you got your curse, you got your corruption, you got your Siphon Life, you're just going to be spamming that Shadow Bolt over and over and over again, and you're going to get a Nightfall proc, and you're going to get 2 Shadow Bolts, and you're just going to keep throwing that Shadow Bolt up on the target. Refresh those dots if the target's going to live the whole time, and keep throwing the Shadow Bolt up.
All right. That's it, guys. That will be
one
pretty,
thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One thing I do want to mention. I do want to give a shout out to the add-on called Cursive.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to ask you before we conclude this video, Worec. What add-ons do you use, and and all that kind of thing is, because people will ask, of course.
Yeah, the most important one for warlocks is cursive. I don't know who made it, and I don't know who edited it to apply to Turtle WoW, but whoever did, like, uh, please send me your name in game. Like, I need to, like, thank you. It's genuinely the best add-on.
Cursive, right?
Cursive, yes, cursive.
Okay, I will
It's
put it. I will put it in the in description of the video. Link of
perfect.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got all your dot timers on it, and you can click the target's health bar with the dot timer on it, and it'll select the target in game. So you can multi-dot multiple targets and just click the target that's about to have your dot fall off on and redot it. And it also the dot timers on cursive are updated to where they factor in your haste. So like if you have a ton of haste and you cast a corruption on the target, if you just have an add-on from 1.12, it'll say the corruption will last for 18 seconds. It'll actually only last for 16 seconds. It'll expire early because of all that haste that you have. You don't want to have to wait another 2 seconds or think that you have to wait another 2 seconds to put that corruption up on the target again. Cursive factors in your haste and gives you an accurate amount of time that the corruption and the agony and whatever other dots are on the target for. So it's actually like the best add-on. When they didn't have that before the class changes, and then they added that feature, and it's made me enjoy playing SM Ruin again. Before that, I just played Fire because yeah.
One more question, if you have more haste, dots are ticking faster. Is that right?
Yes, dots are ticking faster, but also the duration is reduced. So
Exactly.
it essentially just does the same amount of ticks in a shorter amount of time. So that's just it's just a DPS increase because you're lowering the S, damage per second. You're just lowering the denominator of that fraction.
I see.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would like to ask you, is there any add-on except cursive that I'm gonna put down below? Is there something else when it comes to warlocks? At least, do you recommend some other add-on?
I just use cursive. Well, I use other add-ons, but for warlock specifically, I just use cursive. I would also maybe include modified power auras. You have to build the auras yourself, but you can make it so that it pops up on your screen when you get a Nightfall proc, and it shows you how long you have to use it.
That's very useful.
And yeah, it's like fully modular too. You can do it however you want. It's just a nice add-on to have for everybody, and you just have to figure out what you want to know, like what buffs you get that you want to know about, and then add that to the add-on. So it's not just a warlock add-on; it's an everybody add-on, but you can use it for warlocks.
Amazing, real interesting to know. I think I'm gonna put that one also, so guys can download it.
If for Turtle WoW specifically, NAM power is it's not an add-on; it's technically a hack, but Turtle WoW allows it. It just if you have high ping, it sort of queues up your next spell to cast so that you're not getting your DPS gimped by your ping. So essentially, you can press Shadow Bolt and then press Shadow Bolt again while your Shadow Bolt's casting, and even though you might have 150 ping, your next Shadow Bolt will start casting as soon as your first one flies off, because like NAM power. I'm not a programmer, but it's a DPS increase specifically for casters, and specifically if you have high ping, you should definitely consider it.
All right, that will be pretty much it, guys. Worec, thank you a lot for helping me out with all of this, and I'm pretty sure that other guys will thank you. Like I said, we won't be covering the monology over here, guys, because it's just not worth it. They changed a lot of things when it comes to the monology, and maybe they will improve it one day, but for now, demonology is just not worth it. How do I know this? I talked to 4 different friends that are playing that played demonology, and now they moved to either Affliction or SM Ruin. No one is playing demonology. No one of them is playing demonology now. So maybe Turtle WoW developers will do something about it. Maybe not. We'll see. If they do something about it, we'll cover that also. But for now, that's it. Worec, thank you once again, and yeah.
Of course. Just want to give a quick shout out to my stream, twitch.tv/Orec with a 0 as the O.
I will put
stream Turtle WoW.
I will put that in description also. I will put that in
thank
description
you, man.
also. You can write me the link of your stream in description, so I will write it all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day, man.
You too. Take care.